Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We just saw MajOr try an SCV pull. It half worked, he pulled back, but the Stardust counter swing was too much. What does MajOr do to adjust in game 2?
Well, I feel like it was the right choice to pull SCVs like he did with the 3 ghosts, but he got a little bit too scared of Templars. You can't get scared when you're pulling SCVs. You're supposed to be the scary one, and in that case, I feel like if he had tried to attack the natural of Stardust, and he had managed to dodge some of the storms, EMP some of the army, he would have been able to break through. When you pull SCVs like this, you're not supposed to give more time to a Protoss player to catch up on the army supply. You just get in there, you kill his entire army ASAP, and then you just win the game. And in this case, MajOr was too hesitant.
Yeah, MajOr did say that his mouse briefly died when he was taking his ghost to hit the Templar, but there's only so many opportunities for you to say, hey, it's the equipment, hey, it's the equipment. You got to bring good equipment if you're doing a micro-heavy style.
Yes.
Up in the top left-hand corner, currently leading 1-0, on his way maybe to 8-0 in this entire tournament. It is Mind Sanity's Stardust. Down in the bottom right, I'm hoping his equipment hangs well this game, because when it does, woo, his multitasking is a delight. It is MajOr.
I wasn't sure if MajOr is the type of guy who pulls SCVs all that often. I feel like in this game it was the right choice. Maybe that's that first War Prism and Zealots. You know, when you lose some SCVs, it's happened to me many times too. Like, I drop SCVs the way Stardust did it. You kill some of the SCVs of your opponent, and then he feels compelled to do something special because he knows he fell behind in Walkers. So that's when a lot of Tyrants will pull SCVs and try to end the game quickly. And this might be what happened here to MajOr. He was pushed out of his comfort zone, and then he was forced into an attack like this.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, playing a long-form, straight-up game requires a lot of discipline. It's like being on a diet. And going all in is like really tasty, fatty food that's very tempting. So you're like, all right, I'm going to play straight up. I'm a really good player. I can go toe-to-toe with Stardust, and you lose some SCVs, and you're like, oh, well, they have donuts at this buffet. I'm all in. Here I come. Diet's done.
You have a lot of good ways to describe all-ins, Sean. I like that.
Well, I also recently stopped eating very healthy. There was donuts. Anyways, Stardust has not taken his second gas, guys. Are very typical at this point in time. We see also the Reaper opening, almost certainly coming in for Shofu, a.k.a. MajOr.
How many times has he changed IDs?
I mean, he's actually always in the process of changing IDs. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the overlay just continually rotated in random names drawn from the internet.
That would be funny. Princess, Kitty.
Yeah, he has, I think 16 aliases used in tournaments. He has, I think, only twice used the same ID in back-to-back tournaments, but everyone just decided that his name was MajOr.
It's probably the coolest one. The Zealot here, is it going? I think he wants to cancel, but being blocked by an SCV, Stardust might feel that he cannot afford to cancel it, and yeah, he's going to let that finish. Wants to make sure he doesn't get eBay blocked. So it's always a shame when that happens, and then you end up wasting a lot of time. I'm a little bit surprised that Stardust does not scout at all, by the way, early on.
Well, I mean, I guess you'd argue that he's not really changing his build that much. I mean, until he gets deep past his first Stalker, he's not going to be making any tech unit. Plenty of time at this point to know exactly what MajOr's doing. Now that the Reaper's been revealed, he knows that it's almost certainly going to be an expand, followed by the reactor. So a lot of safety for Stardust at this point in time. And I like this play, the engineering bay.
You know, if you're playing against a Protoss that doesn't scout like this early on, and who likes to do a Zealot cancel into a Nexus, you can win with a 2 racks. You just 2 racks, you wait until you know the Nexus is starting and the Zealot was just cancelled. You get in there, your opponent has 1 Nexus and 0 units. You just start making bunkers in the main, and then you take your win. The thing is,
like I said, all-ins are like tempting fatty food. Someone's like, oh, that sounds really smart. I'm going to do that.
In this case, MajOr's not a big fan of sweets, because he doesn't seem to go for them ever. He just goes for the macro game. He just goes for the very healthy route.
Oh, Robo facility going down, both players playing standardly, and this opening that we're seeing from MajOr, this +1, I'm going to say this number so many times, it's the 11-minute mark push. You get the +1 early, and then what happens is right at 11 minutes, you have +1 attack, +1 armor, stim, combat shield and medevacs. And it's at that 11-minute mark where MajOr has to do big damage because MajOr is not going to be able to apply any pressure. I mean, watch in this game. Nothing before the 11-minute mark is going to pose any threat to Protoss.
I wonder if MajOr is able to realize that in the previous game, when it really started going wrong for him is when that first War Prism came in and dropped some Zealots and he was across the map, which is, again, I kind of predicted because I know Stardust very, very well. Is he able to recognize that this is what happened and that he needs to look out for the War Prism this time? Because I'm pretty sure we're going to see, again, one of those being made. And if you're not careful as a Terran, if you start losing SCVs here and there, then it's the beginning of the end against a Protoss like Stardust.
Well, it looks like MajOr's got his Reaper a little bit too revealed before stepping in. So at this point in time, it's just a +1 armor, more observers, photon cannons going down. Stardust playing this out extremely cautiously, and here we see a surprisingly early third barracks from MajOr. Like that.
Those gases were very delayed on Stardust is natural, but it's not going to matter all that much. He's done a very good job of chrono boosting out probes. The scan in the main is going to reveal the Robo, the 3 gateways, and the Forge. He doesn't see any Twilight or Robo Bay, which neither of them has been made right now. You can kind of expect both to be made very, very soon. Maybe, just maybe, this game Stardust could play differently without a Robo Bay, but I doubt that. Yeah, there it is. It goes down.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I like about this style from Stardust. It has the 3 gateways, so it's defensive enough that you can hold off any early harassment, any early pressure. But also, you generally throw down your important buildings long after your opponent scans. Most Protoss styles rely on getting things fast, but not what we're seeing out of Stardust.
By the way, I really like the cannon placement in behind each mineral line by Stardust. I'm going to steal that. I hope he doesn't mind. Too bad if he does.
I don't think there's patents on cannon placement, but I don't know. This is America. Patent trolls sending the letter to you. Please, you must move your cannon 1 hex to the left. It's a building. You can't sell buildings. Pushing full charges.
If you couldn't copy builds, I don't know what I would do, man, because I'm not very creative myself. A lot of players actually just watch the top players. They copy their builds they try to copy their build to the perfection and then kind of tweak them in a way that they prefer to play it themselves. And I feel a lot of pro players have really learned to do that very, very well at high level right now. That one Marine chasing a probe down there. This is a crazy chase, man.
Got him. Now, we are at the 10-minute mark. I want to emphasize again that the 11-minute mark is where MajOr needs to do lots of damage. Warp Prism, as you said before, so typical.
Oh, is he going to be spotted?
Stardust.
It's seen. It's seen by the one Marine, the lone Marine here that chased the probe earlier, that one Hero Marine.
Well, I mean, the +1 armor is almost done. Combat shield's almost done. 11 minutes, MajOr has to do a big chunk of damage because his barracks 4 and 5 are late. His command center 3 is late, but...
He's preparing units there. That's really, really smart.
Great rally by MajOr.
Ideally, in this situation, you want to send one Marine to try and kill the SCV on that 3rd command center and drop in the main. But on this map, he cannot really go around to drop in the main. This could be caught here. The Warp Prism is going to fly into those units. Does MajOr react on time? Yes!
Oh, he gets the Warp Prism. That's the big hit that MajOr needed, and now MajOr is looking to do even more hurt. There's only a single Colossus out. It's a good opportunity to just stim up and kill it off.
11 minutes, 30, I guess, 30-ish, 3rd base. This is a lot more standard. Not like in the previous game, it was like 9 minutes something. This was a very, very early 3rd base. But I guess he kind of knew that MajOr would be aggressive and that if he held, he would be fine. MajOr has to be careful. Stardust is really trying to catch him right now as Blink is about to finish and he has 2 Colossi.
This point, MajOr is just going to be poking as much as he can with his 1-1. You'll notice that there's no armory down. You don't quite have enough funds to get 2-2 quickly on the other side, so it's all about the multi-pronged attacks. Well, I guess there is an armory down. Never mind, ignore me, but +2 will always be delayed. You don't quite have enough to continually upgrade.
Very quick second stop out, by the way. I really like that against the Colossus play. I think he knows that Stardust is not the type to just make one Colossus and then go straight into Storm. So it's clever to go for a quick second stop out. Remember in the previous game, he had a lot of Vikings, but no Medivacs, just 2.
Oh. Great play. He's finding the juiciest target of all, the Colossus. If the Colossus count can stay low, then you can get a good mid-game, but nope. 15 hit points. More engagements on all fronts.
MajOr getting engaged poorly here from his spot on the right-hand side, not paying attention. You know, when you're defending in your main as a Protoss, you're almost always going to basically attack move that army, that main army that you have on the map, into wherever you think the Terran army is, because you know it's most likely not going to be looking. And it's very hard to look in many places at once when you're trying to micro. So that was very smart, and he did get a good win here with a couple units killed. The units lost still very even in this game. But I love MajOr's production, all the barracks that he's made. Again, the double starport is going to be super important. Remember in the previous game, he had 2 medivacs. It was kind of pathetic, you know. They couldn't heal everything.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're seeing MajOr continue to try to poke and continuing to try to drop. But this is really the end of the phase where MajOr can deal a lot of pain and can deal a lot of damage. MajOr needs to wait a little while till he can power up and do another big push that involves these barracks. It's sort of unusual to see a Terran with only 1 engineering bay researching at this point, though.
You know, completely shutting down that first War Prism was very important, because now Stardust feels obligated to get Colossi out continuously. He's not remade a War Prism, and that means he's not going to be able to apply any pressure at all onto MajOr's economy, or even try to catch some of the army out of position. That means he's only defending. You never want to be only defending in StarCraft. Even if you're defending, you're always going to want to try to do some attacks here and there. Okay, I guess maybe if you're playing Swarmos, but other than that, especially in PvT.
Yeah. I mean, in this spot, we see that MajOr is continuing to do the double-pronged attacks. He's gotten a couple picks off on the pylons, a couple free units that were warping in. But look at that Colossus count. A lot of players like to stop building Colossus at 3 to 4, transition to Templar.
He picks up units next to an Observer on the left-hand side. He's attacking on the right-hand side at the same time, though. But yeah, this is going to be defended. And those medivacs haven't been spotted. I think MajOr realized, no, he doesn't. He's still going to go for it in the main. There are Stalkers ready there. They do have Blink. MajOr, you need to scan or make sure there's nothing there before dropping. This could be a disaster. If he was to get those medivacs sniped, I think Stardust could go for a counterattack, possibly do a lot of damage, or maybe even end the game.
Right now, I mean, with these small drops hitting on all sides.
Oh, the medivacs are going for it. They're going to be sniped instantly. 2 medivacs filled with units, and MajOr's supply disappeared very quickly here. Oh, he's actually attacking at the same time in the natural. In the third base, he's going to trade units for a lot of probes.
Oh my god, a 4-pronged attack. 1 at the third, 1 at the natural, and 2 in the main. He gets the third. He gets a lot of probes. 24 workers killed off.
This might trigger an attack here from Stardust. He's getting desperate. He lost 24 probes. That means we have 48 probes against 76 SCVs. I feel like MajOr made a few SCVs too many. It would be nice if he pulled, say, like 10 very soon here, fought with them, lost them, and then didn't remake them, because he does have the mules from 3 orbital commands.
Typical response from Protoss, oh my god, I'm behind, I got to attack. I think Stardust is far too good to make that kind of error. He's just carefully trying to snipe all the units that are lying around his base, re-secure a third, get another forge, get a Templar archive, and, get more upgrades, get another base, get a Templar archives, and I think that the slow, steady defensive play is really going to benefit Stardust here. I mean, I think it's probably the only way he's going to be able to come back, but I think it'll also be very, very strong.
I mentioned it. I really feel like the later parts of the PvT game is where MajOr might struggle a little bit more. He doesn't seem to mind most of the time going to the late game, and we can see that here. He's not being particularly aggressive right now. He's going to be maxed out, so he should definitely be looking to attack. But this is not a game that's been even. I mean, MajOr, I feel, has a lead right now, and he's still going to choose to go into the later stages of the game. There's actually a crazy amount of Colossi. 7 Colossi, are you kidding me? I thought you had stopped at 6 or something.
Well, it's this weird kind of logic that we're seeing crop up so much in Pro League, where if I get enough Colossus, sure you can one-shot them, but that means the other 6 are going to get 2 or 3 shots off too.
This War Prism here shouldn't be able to do too much. Oh my god, are there many Vikings. 17 Vikings!
Well, 17 Vikings oftentimes kill a Warp Prism.
Sometimes. If he doesn't have speed and he's not running for his life.
More Colossus still being produced. Templar and Storm being warped in. That 4th base done now. Small run-ins, and this is where we see the sort of classical late-game PvT. The army moves forward, and then it retreats, but the Zealots break away and do the counters. It's a great way to continually apply pressure to the Terran player without committing.
I'm surprised that MajOr is playing this passive. You know, he's going to start banking a lot of money, which you don't really want to have against Protoss. I feel like looking for a fight trading armies, resetting the Colossi count, and then going for a Ghost-heavy army would have been the right choice. But now look, he's maxed out. Oh, is he going to get Ghosts? I guess he could drop here and there, and then lose army and then remake that in Ghost. But usually, Stardust is going to be ready for those drops. You see on the left-hand side, he has a pylon. He has an observer as well. He should be able to spot those medivacs, in which case, he's going to defend very easily almost every single time. But hold on, he's actually almost maxed out and completely out of position. So that could do a little bit here.
Oh, he's channeling his inner Pult. He's going to do the big drop. Try to get in the main, snipe a Nexus, snipe some key buildings. And
sorry,
Stardust
bro.
is getting pushed and pulled.
You're not pulled. He had to abort for now. Oh, he's going to go for it anyway. Looks like. After sniping a pylon like this, I mean, you know that the Protoss knows, so you don't usually go for it, but I think he wants to just be a threat with this army that he has on the map, which is not very balanced, to be honest, between the ground and Vikings. The ground army is very, very small. He's going to be even smaller than now that he's lost those units. MajOr is stuck on the map with this army.
This is what MajOr needs. He needs opportunities to eliminate those Colossus, to pick away at them.
Photon overcharge, maybe?
Well, it looks like the drop from MajOr is going to be heading into the natural expansion. Ooh, I think that's a very juicy possibility. Colossus again! One goes down and another goes down. Blinkstalkers arrive up at the top side, but there's the swing into the natural.
Classic Protoss, one group of units. Everything went together and a lot of these Colossi got sniped.
MajOr lost track of his army at the right, managed to save some of his Vikings, but...
He sniped the Nexus at the natural, but I mean, it's not that big of a win. Now look at the supply. Stardust, cool counter-attack here. And it looks like he's getting in a position to maybe do it. He's left the 2 Colossi. Man, that's his trademark. 2 Colossi, the expansion left there, ready to defend.
Yeah, I mean, the flexibility of Protoss in a spot like this, you can warp in so quickly, you can attack so quickly, but the fact that units take time to produce for Terran.
That Observer, man. The hero of this game, of the main and natural at least, because it really helped in defending. Stardust still goes for the fight here. This is not the base trade that he's getting right now. Nice Stardust taping by MajOr, but the army of Stardust is going to stream into the natural. There is enough here. He has to pull back for now. And the nuke is being made. And another Ghost Academy.
A nuclear frickin' bomb is being built by MajOr right now. He's going to be able to do these assaults at the top side. Brilliant maneuver here. Running these in, he's at 70 workers. He's going to toss these away. And that way he can free himself up some supply, because right now he has 6 orbital commands. He has all the mules he needs to give him the economy that he wants.
What do you think that Mexican nuke is going to be able to do here?
Well, I think that MajOr is going to... Oh, he's got to be careful with this control.
I think ideally he would like to nuke that top right-hand side base from the high ground.
Yes.
But how does he get a Ghost there when there is this army on the right-hand side applying a lot of pressure?
Very unusual to see a Protoss army split in 2 sides, but it looks like MajOr has found that weak link up in mid-center, is going to also take out the Observer. The left base is vulnerable. It's a planetary, so we'll be able to keep itself alive for a little bit of time, and I think MajOr is going to need just one good engagement to be in a winning position.
He's really lacking Vikings right now against the Colossi count that there is. There is 6 Colossi, 11 Vikings, and they are not even that high on hit points. He's actually going to go for the snipe on this Colossi here.
He's going to get 3 Colossus, more or less, for free. He's also going to get some Stalkers, more or less for free. This base at the bottom side is going to get taken down. Wow, nice moves.
MajOr's trying to do the same thing on the top right-hand side, sniping some probes here maybe, but there is Photon Overcharge available. Lots of Templars in position, and even some Stalkers. Stardust is really shining here in this late-game PvT, and MajOr's kind of falling apart here.
MajOr just needs to hold on to this one attack. He does have bases that he can make use of. He's trying to take down the Colossus. They're down, they fall, one more left, and finally manages to get no Colossus in the army. Is the ground remaining forces enough for Stardust? It's going to be so close.
Not the best idea to go into a late game like this against somebody like Stardust. MajOr was really completely outplayed here, I feel, and I don't think he can come back anymore. I mean, he's mined out at his natural. The third base, there is almost nothing there left. 19 SCVs to 62 probes. I guess that middle base is kind of fortified with the PF, but even then, Stardust is just going to crush through.
Many Ghosts have lost their lives over at the Planetary Fortress, and Ghosts are good as something to reinforce your existing army, but they're very bad to begin making if you're low on supply.
Did he even use the nuke? I don't think so.
He has, he has... I think he may have tried to. He doesn't have the nuke.
Okay.
Anymore.
There is no Ghost left, so...
That'll make it very hard to nuke.
Yeah, you would need the best nuke we've ever seen, I think, to be able to win this game, because Stardust right now has so much more supply, about 70. And with double Colossus production, he's going to be getting a Dark Shrine. You know, he's very far ahead in economy. Actually, 2 Stalkers were forgot about in the main. That one poor boy here will be sniped out of position.
But again and again, as MajOr is starting to spread himself out to try to do these multi-pronged attacks, the one thing he seems to be forgetting is that Stardust can also split his army up. Very few Protosses actually do this, and MajOr is having a very tough time trying to assault any location. I mean, the split up of the Colossus, 1 Colossus in the main with Blink Stalkers. On the right side, many Templar, many Colossus. Cool, cool play from Stardust.
MajOr is trying to basically play the Pulse style here, where you attack on 2 sides consistently while you macro up, but he's just not been able to pull it off very, very well at all. Every time he attacked somewhere, there was Templars ready, there was enough Colossi to really deal with his army, and it's just... He hasn't had a single good fight, I feel, in this game.
We're seeing more Zealots step into the natural expansion, and this really kind of stilts the move-out potential for MajOr. He has to answer this. He has to keep his rally point in his natural to make sure these Zealot run-ins don't get into his production lines. I'm very impressed that MajOr has managed to not quickly fall apart. I think almost all other Terran players would have.
Yeah, a DT, a Butcher, is being sent to that bottom left-hand side base here. Let's see what he can do, maybe force a lift. I thought he was going to send it into the middle line down there at first, but gonna go for the CC for now. And MajOr finally finds himself in a position where we might be able to snipe that base here. He's going to force the photon overcharge. Lots of Zealots who are warped in. There is only 2 Medivacs here again, and they don't have that much energy. Yeah, he stimps again.
The Zealot warp in. Got absolutely obliterated. Another Colossus shows up. The Viking count is slowly falling. Keeping those Vikings alive is essential. There's only 7 Vikings left on the
middle base. That middle base got sniped instantly by the counter-attack here by Stardust. He's got so many Templars with lots of energy. There was a single ghost that EMP'd. There's still a bunch of Storms available. He might lose his Templars. He storms some time.
Ooh, it's super close. I'm not sure if MajOr can hold this off. He's got 5 Vikings in his natural. He's slowly losing each and every one of these orbital commands.
6 SCVs are left for MajOr.
No, it's not enough.
Very, very solid late game play here by Stardust against a MajOr who, as predicted, is not nearly as good as a top-tier Korean player like Stardust in the later stages of PvT. I mean, it can be very difficult, dealing with both Colossi and Templars.
I mean, a really, truly beautiful play. The ability for Stardust to manage those 2 groups and to know when to split. It's not simply that 2 groups are out on the field. It's that it's 2 groups in just the right mixes, in just the right places. I mean, if MajOr, for instance, was doing more of the army clumped together style, it would have been pretty easy for MajOr to just pick one of those sides and kill it off. Stardust enjoying a banana.
While casually talking about what just happened. You know, it's when you watch Paul play and use this style, you really feel like he makes it look easy. It's just like, well, why don't every Terran do this? Well, here's why. Because when you try to do this style and you're not as good as Paul, the game's going to go the way it just did now. You attack everywhere, there's Templars in position, you lose a lot of units. It's very, very difficult to pull off. And I feel what was missing here for MajOr was a few more observer snipes. Like, for example, on the left-hand side, he kept on trying to break through the left-hand side of the map. There was always this one observer, this one guy that was there the entire game and that spotted everything headed into his main. And then from there, he just blinks, snipes some Medivacs filled with units, and it only starts going downhill from there from MajOr. I would have liked to see a little bit more of a committal on an attack earlier. You know, when he was maxed out, for example, and Stardust was only on 170 supply.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple opportune windows for MajOr. But again, if you fall into the sort of, I guess I call it the standards of just general TVP play, there's a drop that should do a little extra damage, and the Protoss should have stopped making Colossus right there, so it's okay to stop at this Viking number, but Stardust did a lot of things that were very unique to that game, and MajOr needed to have a slightly more fine-tuned responses, but I mean, even the slightest of tweaks, and I think that MajOr could have given Stardust a much, much closer game.
Like what tweak? A nuke killing 20 probes?
That would have helped. But I mean, especially not losing track of the units on the right side when all of a sudden, like you say, charging out with those forces. being a little bit more cautious with the drops that were heading into the main. I mean, we saw that that great play in the mid game where it was an attack on the natural, an attack on the main, and an attack on the third. The third got killed off. Some probes were lost. Some probes were lost at the natural expansion. But both drops in the main got 100% wiped off the map. The style you have to play is to still do damage in those two spots, but when you see the Stalkers, just get out of there. You don't have to attack all three places at once. You have to check if you can attack all three places at once. Little conservative plays like that add up big for Terran in the long run.
Yeah, the start was very, very good for MajOr. I mean, he sniped a War Prism with 3 Zealots in it, and then he did damage here and there. He was maxed out before his opponent. He was doing okay on upgrades. He went into passive mode for some reason. It feels like he's very scared of Storm. And he should be, but that doesn't mean you slow down and then you never attack. When Storm comes out, you still need to be aggressive.
That does mean that now Stardust is 2-0 in the group. Still needs a little bit of ways to go to catch up to Violet's 4-0 position. And when we return, we'll be continuing our group stage play and do a little bit of review of what's been going down here at MLG Anaheim 2014. Look forward to seeing you when we come back.